Other one, this is Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Don't curse, speak English.
Armstrong.
Virtuous society.
Armstrong.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey.
Armstrong.
Get on the right side.
Armstrong.
Elevate your mind.
Armstrong.
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Yo, man, it's your boy KO. And you're tuned in to the most conservative of our brothers.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live broadcast of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Oh, what incredible weather we're having in our nation's capital. It's like United States spring. I mean, the weather is beautiful. Listen, I've lived in D.C. for ages. I have never known, well, maybe, I don't know. I have never known the weather to be so nice. Tina, have you ever known the weather to be so nice in the winter at a time living in D.C.?
No, and it's very nice.
Isn't it very nice?
Yes.
It puts you in a good mood. It puts you in a good place. You don't mind going out. It's just I'm afraid of what's going to happen when we get a real summer and spring here. You think we're going to have winter then?
Well, luckily there's no global warming, so yes.
There is no global warming. I'm listening to you. I like that, Miss Tina. Oh, hello, everybody. Tina Frundt. It's one of my favorite guests. We have been talking to Tina for years, and we love what she does. She has been actively raising awareness of the commercial sexual exploitation of children since 2000.
Yes.
A high-profile national advocate on the issue of domestic sex trafficking and a survivor herself. She is deeply committed to helping other children and women who are living through experiences similar to her own. No wonder she's been featured so many times on Oprah, Montel, CNN, Red Book Magazine, and of course the Armstrong Williams Show. Tina, you know, I have been trying so hard to get you on here, my friend. I have been trying, but you've been so busy knocking obstacles out of the way, embracing challenges, and saving the lives of these women and men from these sexual traffickers.
Yes, so let me just say thank you for having me on once again. It's my favorite show to be on.
Oh, my goodness. Now, you don't have me on speaker, do you? Tell me you don't have me on speaker.
I do not have you on.
Oh, good. Yeah. You said your favorite show. Thank you. Listen, educate. This is a new audience for us. We want you to tell them how you came into this profession, how critical the work that you do, and how at any day, moment of time, your loved one could fall victim to these predators.
Yes, well, when we say sex trafficking, I think we immediately think overseas. And we immediately go there thinking it must be horrible to be overseas and enslaved and sold every day. And actually, I was forced into sex trafficking right here in the United States in Chicago at age 13. Many of our survivors, the average age of entry is 11 to 14. And did you know over 100,000 U.S. citizen children are forced into prostitution every day? And so this led me in my own experiences to start Courtney's House and focus on U.S. citizen boys and girls. So most of our kids are under the age of 18, both boys and girls. We provide direct services in D.C. We were recently featured on Lisa Lean's Our America that we actually show footage of going right out 3 blocks away from D.C., right from the White House, where children are sold each day. And we help rescue them and provide direct services.
Not far from the White House?
3 blocks away.
Are these traffickers that bold?
You know, you can be bold when no one is doing anything about it. You can be bold when no one is finding our children who are being forced into prostitution, when our concern is overseas and not our own children right here.
How can that exist in a country like the United States?
Well, to be honest with you, I honestly feel that we help them. You know, when you're thinking of pimps, you have to think about marketing. You have to think about pimps as marketers. And they're wonderful marketers. They not only fool children, but they fool all of U.S. into thinking videos, thinking this word pimp is just something funny, a big guy with a big old hat, and we make jokes of it, and we make jokes about men beating women, and we think it's funny. So I'm going to say that pimps are wonderful marketers, and to make you think that this doesn't exist here.
You know, talk to us about the profile of these pimps and these predators. Is there any distinguishing characteristics that would give us a warning sign?
Well, I'm really glad that you said these predators, because that is actually what they are. They're grown men that manipulate our children. So immediately we say, what about the family? What about the family? Well, look, if the family doesn't know what to look for, the children don't know what to look for. These are men who are approaching our children as they care about them. They're not trying to sleep with them right away. They're trying to say, I'm your friend. I'm looking out for you. I want to take care of you, until they gain their trust and lure them out of their homes. This happens on a daily basis, and I believe we're able to give them that platform to do it, and the boys who are forced out each night.
You know, are we making any progress? It seems like there's just not enough awareness. As much as I know what you do, it seems like there's so much more that should be done.
I believe you're right in the laws. I think awareness is a lot on, again, the foreign national side, not so much on our U.S. kids. We look at our kids as throwaways, or maybe they're extremely poor, and that's kind of why. But as you said, we need to really pay attention to these men. In D.C. recently, there was a man who just walked up into a school and sexually abused a child. And this is what happens every single day on our streets.
How can you just walk into a school where there are supervisors, supposedly security, and just sexually abuse a kid? How is that humanly possible?
And so to answer that question, we'll answer your first question and say, who are these predators? Let me explain to you. To do that, to walk into a school, to lure a child, it must not be one person. So with trafficking, it's not one person. These people have to own businesses. Did you know that traffickers make about $17,000 a week tax-free? 1 week.
How?
For selling and buying children. So they put kids on the internet, on street, all over the internet. So that's Backpages, Craigslist, Adult Find. They put their pictures, and I can quite tell you that these little kids really look like little children. But who are the buyers out there that knowingly know this and continue to buy sex? We're not talking about the buyers. Without supply, there'll be no demand.
You know, what does this say about the parents or the legal guardians of these children?
You know, I'm glad you said that. And it's something that's close to me. So when I was trafficked, I was actually adopted when I was 12. Trafficked again at 13. It had nothing to do with my parents at all whatsoever, and I really want to bring that home. Not every time as it has something to do with a parent. I will tell you this. Sometimes children, let's remember a time when we were a teenager a year or two ago, when we didn't tell our parents everything about every person that came into our life. We did not do that. So maybe now we have the internet. Maybe now they're also texting them. They're on their phone, and they're hiding this from their parents. But not all parents are bad parents. They're parents, and sometimes they're too busy. Many people let their children have phones all night long. Many people do this. Many people take their kids to the mall. Did you know that lots of our children were actually recruited from malls, that we drop our kids off to hang with their friends?
No.
Like Tyson's Corner Mall in Virginia, like here in D.C. This happens on a regular basis. So we're dropping our kids off thinking it's safe, but pedophiles are going, this is a perfect marketplace for children. And that's what they're doing. So parents knowingly don't know that, and it really isn't safe to do that.
You make it seem as though the kids can be somewhat vulnerable and gullible.
Well, you know, let's just be honest about this, that when you are a teenager, you don't believe you're being manipulated. That's why it's easy to manipulate children, because you don't even know you're being manipulated. You know teenagers, you know everything. They're psychic. They know it before you say it. So when you come from you know it before you say it and I know everything, it's so much easier to manipulate. Grown people get manipulated and all their money gone. So, of course, a child does.
You know, I want to go back to the schools. How does human trafficking affect our schools?
Now, I do want you to know that many of the survivors, many of the children who were trafficked go to school. They go back home and they come to school and their parents did not know. Maybe they're labeled as runaways. and then they come back home and they're so afraid they don't actually tell them what really happened. So these kids do go to school, and some are abused by their families. So unfortunately, what really does happen is that school is a lovely recruitment. So traffickers who already have children forced into sex trafficking, those kids actually have to recruit other children. So they have to go to school and recruit other kids. You have to, or you get beaten as well.
So it
and
does.
If we're not
So it does have
the
a
school system. Then how would they know this?
So this human trafficking on our school children does have serious effect.
Has a very serious effect.
Here's the thing that I really want you to think about, which I just thought about for the first time today, and that is, how do we identify victims of human trafficking?
Well, to be honest with you, there are a few ways. One, you do want to identify the person who constantly seems like she's running away from home, gone for a few hours, come back to school. Definitely. You definitely want to pay attention to the child who always falls asleep into the classroom. And let's just be honest, some of these traffickers that have built cases in D.C. on, guess where they were picking up the kids from? School. Grown teachers will see grown men pick up little middle school children and didn't report that.
You're listening to Tina Frundt. She is the executive director and founder of Courtney's House. She recently won the Frederick Douglass Award through the Freedom Awards that recognizes survivors of sex trafficking, and she's the first U.S. citizen, the first to win the award. And she's our guest. I'm Armstrong Williams, and we'll be back. Don't go away.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show with our guest, Tina Frundt. AM 730 WTNT 102.9 FM, WGCV 620 AM, WGNU 92.3, Sirius 128, and our live stream, Can't forget about the live stream. www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. Tina, how do I report a suspected incident of human trafficking?
Well, to report what you believe to be an suspected incident, that they have a national human trafficking hotline. And I think that's going to be the best bet for everyone to call the National Human Trafficking Hotline number. Are we ready for that number?
Yes.
So that number would be 888-275. I'm sorry, it's 888-3737, and it's 888. So the number is 888-3737, 888. It's 24 hours a day, and you can report any tip, foreign, national, U.S., that you believe.
You know, it is obvious that a lot of trafficking does come from other parts of the world and to the United States, and there are a lot of women that come here who are sex slaves in unbelievable circumstances. How do you reach out and help these women?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that it's estimated about 17,000 foreign national victims are trafficked here, and over 100,000 U.S. citizen children are trafficked inside the U.S. There are about 32 wonderful organizations in this area that focus on foreign national trafficking. I focus on U.S. citizens, and that is our focus, U.S. citizen children.
You know, I have to say this to our audience, that contrary to common assumption, human trafficking is not just a problem in other countries. Cases of human trafficking have been reported in all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and some U.S. territories. Victims of human trafficking be children or adults. U.S. citizens are foreign nationals, male or female. And according to many estimates, thousands of men, women, and children are trafficked to the United States for the purposes of sexual and labor exploitation. An unknown number of U.S. citizens and legal residents are trafficked within the country primarily for sexual servitude and, to a lesser extent, forced labor. You don't hear the term sexual servitude much, do you? People, it's like an unspoken term.
It is. It is like an unspoken term. I believe people think it really doesn't happen that much, and it does. And let me explain why. It's really because of the laws are set up. There are wonderful laws out there that help support foreign national victims, and they get money that is also allocated from the State Department. As of 2005, U.S. citizens were just recognized as victims of sex trafficking in 2005. It is now 2012, and no money has been appropriated for U.S. citizen victims of trafficking. And that's why you don't hear about it as much.
And you got to really listen to our guest, Tina Frundt, who is the executive director and the founder of Courtney's House. And let me sort of recap some of the things she said since we started this conversation. And that is, trafficking can involve school-aged children, particularly those not living with their parents, who are vulnerable to coerced labor exploitation, domestic servitude, or commercial sexual exploitation. Sex traffickers target children because of their vulnerability and gullibility, as well as the market demand for young victims. Those who recruit minors into prostitution violate federal anti-trafficking laws, even if there's no coercion or movement across state lines. Why little innocent, powerless children?
Well, the problem with that law, actually, is that the federal law does see children under the age of 18 as victims of a crime federally. Local law contradicts federal law. So the problem is, on a local level, at times children are arrested and charged for prostitution at 13 when they're actually forced. And they may have the trafficker in custody and still charge the minor in that case.
Wow. This is the Armstrong Williams Show, and we're talking about just an explosive topic, sexual trafficking. I mean, so how does one identify a victim of human trafficking? Let us do a recap. You know, their unexplained absences from school for a period of time, and is therefore a truant issue, and it demonstrates an inability to attend school on a regular basis, chronically runaways from home, makes references to frequent travel to other cities. They exhibit bruises or other physical trauma, withdrawal, behavior, depression, or fear, and they lack control over her or his schedule or identification documents. Could you talk about that a little more, Tina?
Well, that one is actually more on the foreign national side, but lots of children, what really happens is traffickers ask you a few things. They always ask U.S. citizen children, including myself, to give you their birth certificate and Social Security card. So as a child, they tell you to give that to them because one day they're going to open up a bank account for you. They're going to put money in that. You're going to go to college. They love you. They care for you. They're going to marry you. In reality, at 14, I owned cars in my name. I owned buildings in my name because they need to funnel their money somewhere. And so this is like enterprise. They need to clean their money. So lots of these traffickers own businesses. There was a recent case in D.C. where a trafficker was pimping girls for over 40 years, had 12 and 13-year-old girls, and also owns many businesses, restaurants, barber shops, and hair shops in the city as well.
You know what?
These are men that look good on paper.
But you know what? You make it seem so that what they do is so easy, and they move in such a smooth way.
The reality it is, they do move in such a good way. And let me tell you why. If that was the case, then we would have already caught all the traffickers if they didn't. If they were not working all together, then we would have caught them a long time ago. The problem is traffickers work together. You could never do this not working together. And we should be really afraid when criminals work together
against innocent children. You know what? Is it true that adults are sometimes trafficked?
Well, it's more than true. What really happens is this. If I was not able to get out of this, I would have been my age and still being trafficked. There are many people who started at 12, 13. Most of them started at that age, but maybe 19, 27, 40, and under forced control. This is nothing that you can just walk up and leave one day. You need services. You need housing. So, yes, definitely you can be 18 and over, and this affects boys as well.
What do we have in place where people can gain access and get more information and more knowledge about this issue, Tina?
Well, I'm going to encourage them to visit Courtney'sHouse.org, so www.Courtney'sHouse.org. If you want to learn a little bit more about the laws, I would also encourage you to go to SharedHopeInternational.org. They did a report card on every state in the United States and what their laws are for U.S. citizen trafficking victims.
And what were the results?
Well, D.C. got an F.
DC?
Maryland got an F, and Virginia got an F. You get an F if you arrest the minors in the case and not providing any services. So please take a look at that. That's very important. It shows what your state is doing about trafficking and protecting children, and that's why all three got an F.
You know what? We really appreciate what you do, and you do it so well. You know, in the final few minutes that we have left, I just want you to talk about just how your organization and your vision has impacted so many lives, saved so many lives, and returned people back to a normal life.
Well, Courtney's House has rescued and provide services for over 500 children within these last few years. We have also helped proudly get scholarships for our survivors. We have survivors who currently internship, work for Courtney's House right now, and also answer our hotlines. So those wonderful children at one point were able to get through their trauma recovery in a place that they are now. So kids don't leave Courtney's House. They just come and help others.
Tina Frundt, I just cannot thank you so much for what you do, for your willingness to come on our show. And how can we get, do you have a website address?
Yes, I do. Courtney'sHouse.org. That's www.Courtney'sHouse.org.
And again, thank you. Congratulations for what you do, and you deserve all the accolades and all the support. And just keep on doing what you're doing because you do it so well.
Thank you so much.
All right. Again, thank you for joining us.
All right. Bye-bye.
Coming up next is former Frederick News Post columnist and the mother of two daughters and Frederick County businesswoman, Frundt Afzali, is a Maryland state delegate representing Frederick County and currently running for Congress to represent Maryland's 6th congressional district. We're going to talk to her when we come back on the Armstrong Williams Show on AM 730 WTNT and 102.9 FM. And don't forget about our live stream. Don't forget about the live stream, www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. You can also go to Right Side Wire, www.rightsidewire.com. That's www.rightsidewire.com. And don't forget about our live stream. It's www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. Coming up next, we're going to talk to somebody whose ambition is to become a member of that august body called the United States Congress. We're going to have a conversation with Delegate Frundt Afzali here on the Armstrong Williams Show. Americans have every right to be so frustrated with their government and this deficit. I don't know what you think about the president's latest budget. I don't know what you think about the extension of the payroll taxes. Listen, there is just so many things that are going on in this country. We have this deficit. They don't want to cut these entitlement programs. Nothing. You cannot even get off first base unless these entitlement programs are on the table. I'm Armstrong Williams, and we'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh boy, we're live and living color. Glad to have you guys join us today on the Armstrong Williams Show. where we talk the talk that changes America. Remember those old liberal talking points that Europe is so much better, years ahead of America? You know, I like to see them use that one now. If Europe is more progressive, closer to some heretofore unrealized idea, then it's certainly not the idea for us, we the people. But we are closer to European socialism than we ever have been with this president in the White House. But let me also say, it didn't start on President Barack Obama's watch. No, it did not. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades. The problem with Obama is not that he invented the problems, but that he refuses to even acknowledge that they are his to solve, as though he were leading some other imaginary country where inequity of outcome is the only issue. And so, you know, in 2012, we have yet another election year that is primarily a reaction against the establishment, and the country has swung back and forth yet again, unhappy with both parties. But why? The Tea Party came along some time ago and ousted incumbents and replaced them with politicians that were going to give us hope that was going to change the landscape, and then some of them go within the halls of this Congress. They become just as corrupt. They become just as unprincipled. They become just as gullible as any of the rest. And America keeps trying, and they keep trying. They keep trying. They keep trying to get it right. They're willing to vote them out until they get them right. The problem with former President George Bush was not that he was conservative, but that he was not conservative enough. He hurt the credibility of the GOP by bloating the government further, and not just the military and the Department of Homeland Security, but in his own compassionate conservatism, blowing money on domestic spending as well. If the Republicans stick to constitutional and classical liberal principles, they win elections. They got drunk with power after Gingrich took over in 1994 and didn't deliver on their promises. Since then, they have collectively failed to practice what they preach. So what are we getting? Many people can't even distinguish the difference between President Obama and candidate Mitt Romney. The worst of their transgression was the Medicare Part D entitlement that now Speaker Boehner and President Bush added, worth around $13 trillion in unfunded dollars, hoping to bribe their way to permanent majority. This is what we complain about the liberals doing. I find that when you talk to people about the issues, they are far more conservative than you know. And it doesn't mean you have to be a Republican, you don't have to be a Democrat. You know, conservative, the traditional values which made this country what it is today. They want small government. And I'm hopeful that we can repent and actually be conservatives again and win elections. So when I was told that our guest today would be someone running for office, I used to get really excited and enthusiastic. But you know what? I'm glad people decide to make the sacrifice to run, because it's not easy. But I want to welcome former Frederick News Post columnist Frundt Afzali to our show, who's seeking a run for Congress to represent the Maryland 6th Congressional District. Delegate Afzali, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Armstrong. Thanks for having me.
Why would you be any different if you win? Why should the people give you a chance?
Well, that's a really good question. I haven't been in the business of politics very long. I just actually was elected last year, and I ran for office not because I was particularly interested all of my life in running for office, but because I got so mad at my representation that I challenged one of the delegates that held the seat. And people laughed at me. I was, a mom and a small business owner, had no political lineage of any kind, come from a very modest family south of San Francisco, and I challenged the incumbent, and I won. And it was a surprise to a lot of people. And when this whole redistricting mess came out from O'Malley, I live in Maryland, by the way, and anyway, as some people know, that the area of Maryland was redistricted through a lot of gerrymandering and political play for political gain. The district was changed to such an extent that the candidates that jumped in the race, I felt were going to lose, and we would lose the 6th district to the Obama agenda. And so I got in the race, and I'm pretty crazy for doing it, but try not to hold that against me. I'm a very nice person.
But you know what? The people who have been getting their way has been the big government crowd, and most Americans, not all, certainly there are true believers in government omnipotence out there are angry with the state of our nation. And it can't be that there isn't enough free handouts, it's that there are too many. It can't be that there aren't enough abortions, it's that there are too many. And it can't be that there are too few loopholes in the tax code, it's that there are too many. And America, despite its 40 years expansion, Kathy, of the bureaucracy and erosion of the Constitution, is still at heart a center-right country, and the people will not be satisfied until it once again governed by center-right principles. And I'm just curious to know what those principles mean to you.
Well, first of all, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you say it so eloquently, and I probably could never match that level of articulation. But those things are very important to me, and honestly, I am a citizen like everyone else, and I'm so disheartened by what is happening in Washington. And my feeling is I'm a get-it-done kind of person. I ran on that platform when I ran for delegate. I said I'd get things done, and I have. I've been here almost just over a year, and I've gotten more done in that year than most of the people have done in 15 years. And things can get done, and we can turn this great nation around. And I'm hoping to be a part of that process, of that transformation back to those basic values that we hold dear, that you and I believe in. And I'm running against an incumbent, as you know. It's definitely an uphill battle. And what's so funny, Armstrong, is that the Republican Party, the RNC, is backing the incumbent in this case, and I don't think he's got a chance to win. I don't say that with any malice of any kind, but the way that the area was redistricted, as is happening all over the country, but the governor isn't dumb. They redistricted specifically so the incumbent would lose. The demographic is that, and the Republican Party has just fallen into this habit of, well, he's been here for 20 years, we can't lose him now, and they're throwing all of this money toward him, and unfortunately, I think he's going to lose. And until the Republicans wake up and get a clue that the people have had it with that kind of partisan politics, no matter what side it comes from, until we realize that this country has to be taken back by the people, we're just going to keep going down this slippery slope of more spending and government programs. And the more people you get on government programs, the harder it is to stop them, as you know. And you were talking about Europe, and I've been fortunate in my life that I've been able to do traveling. And I've been in Europe in the last couple of years, and it's scary if that's the way we're headed. I was in England just a couple of years ago, and people were asking me, the young people there were asking me how they could immigrate to the United States. How could they get to Australia? They didn't see any hope for their future there. And it's that European-style socialism that all sounds very benevolent, but really just takes the incentive out of the spirit of people who want to be entrepreneurs and want to succeed and move forward. And I'm hoping that people will see that I am a new, fresh face, that I'm something different. I have a lot of energy. I'm extremely petite, and people call me a fireball of energy. I am not a career politician, and I believe in term limits. And I think that's a huge issue. Is that, and mine would be self-imposed term limits. I mean, I have no desire to be there for the next 20 years. And most citizens shouldn't want to be there, shouldn't want their legislator to be there. Whether it's called seniority or whatever it's called, you can't help but get jaded. You can't help but lose sight of the people. It's just a natural occurrence. You start to lose that connection, I think, with the very people who sent you there. So I couldn't tell you how long I would serve. I would say that probably 4 terms would be good. And you know, I just don't think you can keep your edge, that you can keep your energy for that long. So,
Kathy Afzali is a former.
It's Afzali. It's Afzali. I know. Listen, I've heard everything. I've heard alfalfa. I've heard Alfonsi. You should check my website. I've got a funny video about people in my committee in Annapolis trying to say my name. It's pretty.
Kathy Afzali is a former Frederick News Post columnist, mother of 2 daughters, Frederick County businesswoman, and is a Maryland State delegate representing Frederick County and running for Congress to represent Maryland's 6th Congressional District. A Republican, she is a dynamic leader and businesswoman with 30-plus years in private sector and nonprofit work. She is unapologetically conservative and believes in the free market, small manageable government, and the power of the individual, which we're going to discuss in more detail when we return on the other side of this break.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the show. And thank you so much for joining us. And let me also congratulate you for having the courage and the will to want to run for office, given what you sacrificed, the possibility of the debt that you build up, being away from your family and children, people mischaracterizing you, the lonely nights with the posters and sometimes very few people in the room, lonely nights on the road. I mean, people don't understand. It is it takes such a special person to run for office because you really believe in these ideas of our founders and you really want to return this country to greatness. So I sincerely salute you for at least wanting to be a party of that august body, the United States Congress.
Well, thank you for saying that, but now I'm like totally depressed after hearing the reality of what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm not going to say it's easy. It hasn't been easy, especially when you're running against an incumbent. There's some people in the race who certainly have a more of a political pedigree than I do. But I know this sounds terrible. I don't consider it a sacrifice. I consider it an honor. And if I am so honored to be the Congresswoman for District 6, I will just work my tail off to be certain that the people that I represent are ever present in Washington. And I think that's probably the message that I take with me, is that even as, just when I got elected as a delegate, I was the first delegate really in Annapolis to start sending out regular weekly newsletters to my constituents, telling them what was happening. Now I have about 7,000 people on my email list just in my local area, and just telling them. Most people don't know what's happening in their state capital, and I want to continue that practice when I get to Washington, letting people know from an inside view, really, what bills are at stake, what's at stake for them and their families and their business, and how it's going to affect their lives. I think we need to expect more from our representatives, and I look forward to it. Yes, do I miss my kids and my husband? The way we justified this, and let me tell you, this was not my decision. This had to be a family decision. But the way my husband and I justified it was that when I'm in the legislative session in Annapolis, that I was going to be away from home a lot anyway, and our primary is April 3rd, and I don't get out of session until April 15th. So it's been very interesting balancing being in the legislature and trying to campaign at the same time. But we're cooking. I have great volunteers that are extremely dedicated. I have my website. Can I plug my website?
Of course.
It's KathyForCongress.com, and it's Kathy with a K. Kathy, the word for, not the number for, but KathyForCongress.com, and it'll tell you more about me. And I would just encourage people to get onto my Twitter and onto my Facebook and all of those things. And if anybody could help out financially, certainly, like I said, the incumbent is definitely backed by the Republican Party. And,
well, you know what? Listen, just because someone is backed by the establishment does not mean they're automatically a shoo-in, as we've seen over the last 2 years. The president's poll numbers are certainly rising over the last few weeks, and for the first time in a long time, he's back at 50%. And no matter what any of us thinks of him, it's hard to deny that he's a genius at political manipulation.
Yes.
He may never know how to run any economy, and he will never be an expert in foreign affairs, but it doesn't really matter as long as he can spin any situation to his advantage. This is particularly true, Kathy, when his opponents are wedded to principles and you have a gullible populace. When you throw into the mix a media consisting largely of left-wing sycophants and ideologues, you create a situation in which virtually this president can do no wrong. And in the minds of many, they want you to believe that he's unbeatable. So we must now prepare ourselves, if this is true, for another 4 years of excessive spending, denial of personal responsibility, expanded socialism, class warfare, and unabated political correctness. How do you respond?
Well, I respond in two ways. The first response is if we are unfortunate and we don't get a conservative president in the White House and Obama is reelected, I hope to be there on the front lines trying to hold back whatever it is that he will be trying to accomplish through more spending, raising debt ceilings, and causing more havoc to businesses throughout this great nation. If we are fortunate and we have a Republican elected president, and honestly, any one of our candidates would be a better alternative than the current president. I want to be on the front lines helping that president be successful. Whether it be, there's fundamentals that I believe in. I believe that we need to lower the corporate tax rate. Get us a flat corporate tax rate. Get rid of the loopholes. You were talking about that earlier. And get this economy moving. You might know that I have a real estate license. I've been in the real estate business probably off and on for all my life. My mother was a real estate broker in California. And honestly, real estate is the front lines of this recovery. If we don't get this real estate market back on track, we're not going to see a recovery. And there's more foreclosures coming. And I live out in mid-Maryland, and Western Maryland is right next door. And let me tell you, there are a lot of unemployed people there. And it's getting scary. I mean, I know people who are losing their homes, not because they bought in a high market, but because they don't have a job. And Obama has passed down, I also represent a lot of farmers out here in Western Maryland. And Obama, with his EPA mandates and his executive orders, has driven a knife in the heart of farming in our state and in Pennsylvania. And our governor has put those EPA mandates on steroids and is causing havoc in our state with regulation after regulation, and our farmers aren't going to be able to make it. And their whole green concept of how, wow, we're going to go green. Well, the most green thing you can do is buy local food, but if your farmer can't farm, it's going to be kind of hard to do that. So then you have to bring a truck from Mexico to bring the fruit and vegetables from there. How green is that? So, we have a lot of frustrations here because of Obama, because of these EPA mandates. I want to be there to fight that. And we have a situation in Western Maryland, which is part of District 6, that this president and our current governor doesn't like shale gas drilling. Well, we have about 40 years of gas right here in this little tiny mountain in Western Maryland, and we have about a 40% unemployment rate. The other states, West Virginia and Pennsylvania, are drilling, and it's successful. And here we are in Maryland, we're not drilling. And this is all kind of this O'Malley agenda, and it really hurts the rural communities, and those people need a voice, and I'm hoping to be that voice.
Listen, in the few minutes that we have left, and for those that are just joining us, we're honored to be joined by Delegate Frundt Afzali, who is running for the 6th Congressional District of Maryland. She's a Republican. She, by the end of her first legislative session in Annapolis, she sponsored or co-sponsored 49 bills, one of which was a bill that required a photo ID when voted in the state of Maryland, as well as introducing a farm estate tax bill, which would be the first step in eliminating the high inheritance taxes paid by farmers, family businesses, and individual citizens. Her leadership on agriculture issues has capitulated and catapulted her to be the go-to person for Maryland agriculture. And in addition, this is important, she has received a 100% rating from Maryland Business for Responsive Government and was named by the Gazette of Business and Politics as their pick for a winner at Annapolis this past session. I must extend congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Your final thoughts?
Well, my final thought is that I would be honored to be the Republican nominee from District 6. I recognize it's an uphill climb. It's definitely an interesting experience running for Congress. I've definitely made waves. Apparently, there's a pecking order that one must follow in order to run for office in my area. And I definitely have not followed the rules in terms of waiting my turn to run. And I don't believe that our founders intended career politicians to run this great nation. I believe that they wanted citizens to come forward and to allow people to make their voices heard throughout this great land, and I'm hoping to be one of those voices.
Well, listen.
And I thank you. And again, can I plug my website
Of
one
course,
more time?
of course.
CathyForCongress.com. If you can help me in any way, I'd be so thrilled. But most importantly, I'd love you just to tell your friends, if you know anyone who lives in the new District 6 in Maryland, please tell them that I need their vote.
You know, I really wish you well, and I appreciate your spirit. And thank you so much for joining us. And we want to thank our earlier guest, Tina Frundt. Remember, www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. Take care, everybody. AM 730 WT.
For more information on The Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Armstrong.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up, hey.
Armstrong.
Get on the right side.
Armstrong.
Elevate your